Tazai in Mishnah Ches. The last Mishnah of this Perek continues to discuss the halachas of non-Jewish people doing melacha on Shabbos, and we're discussing now what happens. What is the halacha if a guy does a melacha either for himself or for the benefit of a Jew? And if he does so for the benefit of Yisrael, then it's going to be problematic, because we'll see the problem is that we're worried that the Jewish person will therefore tell the guy, will sort of tell the Gentile to do a melacha. So Chazal forbade the Yisrael getting any benefit of a melacha done by a guy for the benefit of Yisrael. What's more, that not only did they forbid any benefit if the guy did the melacha for the benefit of Yisrael, not only can the Yisrael not get any benefit from it, but Chazal made him wait. They made the takana of Kadesh Yaseh, i.e. that the Yisrael has to wait the amount of time it takes to do the melacha after Shabbos. So for example, if he bakes a cake and the whole process takes an hour, so then if he did so for the Yisrael, not only can the Yisrael not eat it on Shabbos because the melacha was done for the Yisrael, but even after Shabbos he has to wait the time it takes, Kadesh Yaseh, the time it takes after Shabbos before he can partake of that cake. That is the halach of Kadesh Yaseh, and that's going to be the theme that the Mishnah discusses. Says the Mishnah, Ovid kechavim shehidlikis haner. A non-Jewish person lights a candle. Mishtamish la'orei Yisrael. Then a Jew may use it. Bishvil Yisrael, it's also. But if he did so, if he lit the candle, the lamp, in for the benefit of the Yisrael, then it would be also for the Yisrael to benefit from that light. As we explained, if a guy does it for himself, then it would be mutter for the Yisrael to benefit. But if he does it in order specifically to benefit the Jew, then it's also. A similar halacha, milei mayim lahashkos behemtoi. If a non-Jewish person went into a well and filled up water from the well in order to feed or to give to drink his own animal, the guy's own animal, and there was some water left over, mashke achrov Yisrael. So the Jew is allowed, the Yisrael is allowed to take the residue, the remnants, the leftover water, and give it to his own animal. And we're talking about a case where the guy did a melacha deraisa, because the well was a Rishus Rabbim that had walls of 10 tefachim. He took the water out of the Rishus Hayoch and he placed it in the Rishus Rabbim. So if he did it for his own animal, then the Yisrael is allowed to use the leftover water for his own animal. But if in Bishvil Yisrael, then it's Osa. But if he only drew the water for the benefit of the Yisrael, then it would be Osa. It's caught by the takon of Chazal. We can't get any benefit of a melacha done by a guy for the benefit of Yisrael. Now the Mishnah is now going to tell us a third example of this. That is, also over Kechavim Kevesh Leirid Boy. The guy built a ramp to get off a ship. Yored Achrav Yisrael. Since the guy did it for his own benefit, Yored Achrav Yisrael, the Jew is allowed to descend, to disembark from the ship using that ramp that was built on Shabbos. The Imbish for Israel is also, but if the non-Jewish person did it for the benefit of Israel, then it would be also be prohibited for the Jew to walk off the boat, to disembark from the boat on this ramp. Now the Gemara brings a Maisa, which supports this last statement. Maisa b'Rabbi Gamliel uzakenim. There was an incident that once happened. Rabbi Gamliel and the elders, shahoyu boim b'sfina, they were once traveling. V'also ovid kechavim kevesh leirbo. They were traveling on Shabbos, and the ship arrived in the dock on Shabbos, and they saw that an ovid kechavim had made a ramp to get off the ship. The Yordu b'Rabbi Gamliel uzakenim, and the Rabbi Gamliel and Zakenim went off and they disembarked using this ramp because they realized that the guy had done it for himself. And as the Mishnah says, if it's for his own benefit, then if then the Yisrael, Rabbi Gamliel and the Zakenim were able to make use of the kevesh. Two ha'oras. Number one, we're talking specifically that although the ship landed on Shabbos, normally it's usually also to disembark a boat or a ship which lands on Shabbos. The reason is because there's a tchum problem. But here, the reason why Rabbi Gamliel and the Zakenim were able to disembark the boat on Shabbos is because they happen to have been within the tchum of the shore before Shabbos came in. How do they know? The Tosefta says that Rabbi Gamliel had a telescope. He had a telescope, and he could look through, and it was calibrated in a way that he could see clearly anything within 2,000 amas. If it was more than 2,000 amas, then the image through the telescope, he wouldn't be able to see clearly. So he looked through this, he made this telescope, he calibrated the telescope in a way that the image was clear within 2,000 amas. So therefore he knew he was within the Tchum of Shabbos before Shabbos, so therefore it was mutter for them to get off the boat. That's one ha'ara. The second ha'ara is an obvious problem. Why does the Mishnah tell me 3 times the same halacha? So the Mefarshim explain as follows. I'll read from the Bar Tanura. The Bar Tanura says, just a line or two in from the Dibba Maskal Kevesh, he says as follows. The Tana needs to tell us both the examples of ner, of the lamp, umayim, and the case of water, of putting water, drawing water from the well. To eat Tana ner, because had the Tana just told me the example of the lamp, Hava Amina, I would have thought. Ner hu deshari, the reason why it's mutter for the Jew to benefit from the light which was put on for the benefit for the guy himself, to because we don't have to worry that we shouldn't be choshesh that maybe the guy is going to increase and do it specifically for the Israel. Because a lamp for one is like a lamp for 100. If the guy turns the light on in the room for his own benefit, then I could benefit the light in that room because he did it for himself. And the lamp for one is like a lamp for 100. But I might have thought that water, the ikla migza, that we're worried that maybe even though the guy drew the water for his own benefit, maybe we should not allow it for the Yisrael to use the leftover water because we're worried that maybe Shemi Yarba Bishvilo in future times he would draw water specifically for the Yisrael, and therefore the Yisrael might come to use it then. That's what I might have thought. The Iyashme'in and Mayim, continues the Bar Tanura, and had we been told the case just of water, Havamina, I would have thought, Mayim Hud Bishvil Yisrael is Osa. When is it Osa for the Yisrael to benefit from this Melacha done, if it was done specifically for the Yisrael? Avol Ner, Afal Gav the Bishvil Yisrael, but the case of the Ner, which was, even though it may have been done specifically for the Yisrael, given the iu nami tzarich leishari, I might have thought, since the guy himself needs it, therefore it's mutter. Why? Since ner is enough for one person, enough for 100 people, therefore I might have thought there would be mutter. Tzricha, therefore I need to be told both instances that if the guy does it for his own benefit, the Yisrael can benefit from that malacha. But if the guy does it for the benefit of the Yisrael, then it's also in both cases. Now, continues the Bar Tanura, what about the third case? The kevesh in the third case of the ramp, afagav the domi the ner, even though it's very similar to the ner, because the kevesh le'echot, kevesh le'me'er, just like a ner is good enough for one, is good enough for 100, also to the ramp, if he does it for himself, he's not doing any extra melacha, there's no shemi yarba in the case of the ramp. The kevesh le'echot, kevesh le'me'er, mishum maiset, the reason why the Tana puts it in is a sort of a preamble, a sort of an introduction to the story of Rabbi Gamliel and the Zakanim, to Ma'aser Rav, because there's a concept of Ma'aser Rav that's a ruling which actually has sort of been applied in an instance is much more powerful, and therefore we want to bring the Ma'aser Rav, and therefore we bring in this third machlokas, even though it's repeating something which we already know, it's bringing it in just to bring out this Ma'aser Rav, to bring along this story of where it was actually, this halacha was actually put into practice. That is the end of the 8th Mishnah and the Perek Tesayin.